Again, this is a three-part note as a Kef Gadol, two dots next to a line up on top of the word. And we've said that this is going to be something that, again, gives the word importance, has a slight pause afterwards, so the word will stand a little bit on its own and perhaps have two or more features to it because it's a three-part note. And he said, number 4, after a series of reasoning, Paro presented his innocence, and he said that actually Avram had committed a crime by lying and deceiving, as stressed by the shape of the reading mark. So Paro is reasoning this out, he's thinking about it, and he finally comes to say, stop, what's gone on here? I've been framed. So he's going to say it. I'm the right one, you're the wrong one. So a higher and a lower, and it's going to. The explanation is going to be sort of in the tone of I've been framed, and everybody in the room sort of pauses when somebody comes out with something like that, right? So it's going to be like the showstopper remark. So and he said, with the pause afterwards, I'm higher, you're lower, I'm right, you're wrong, and I've been framed. Mazot, with the tipra, going backwards and then pausing slightly afterwards. What? This? Paro accused Avram of acting perfidiously for what this involvement of supernatural punitive forces when he made with him a legal transaction, as denoted by the shape of the reading mark. So Paro is going to go back and look at the whole circumstance. I paid you. You got camels and servants and donkeys and so on, and gold and silver, and then all of a sudden these angels come and punish me for doing everything the right way. So this tipcha is going back on the last couple of sentences. That's the backwards focus. Asita, which again is going to be completely separated out. It's going to have the munach, which separates it from previous ideas and moves it forward into what's going to go on. You did, number 6. It is evident that you did cause all the unrest, panic, and suffering in the king's palace, and you should be responsible for it, as suggested by the shape of the reading mark. So Avram's actions are separated completely from Paro's actions. I've been completely in the right. I paid you. I approached something that I thought was legally mine, and you, on the other hand, acted completely in a false sense. So that's why we've got mazot, pause, asita, again, pause, and then go on from there. The consequences have to fall completely on Avram, completely separate from the actions of Paro, who is sort of hanging back there after two pauses, right? We've got a pause after the tipcha and a sort of a pause or a separation from the munach. Li, for me, with the stabilizing and slightly elevated etnachta. Not only did you cause great trouble for me, the Pharaoh of Egypt, but you also involved my family and even my servants, as expressed by the stabilizing shape of the reading mark. So for me and everyone dependent on me. So I am the person who all of these other people rely on for stability, and by doing something to me, you've weakened them as well. And we go on, number 8. So we're going to notice the difference between lama, with the accent on the lamed at the beginning, and if we look forward just a little bit to the next page, page 23, the beginning of the next sentence, lama, with the accent on the mem, on the middle letter. So the first one that we're dealing with here in sentence 12:18 is a yativ. This one says why, lama. The second one says lama, for what, i.e. for what purpose, for what gain, for what thing did you do. So one is asking a reason, and the other is asking what did you think you would get out of it. And this is a very common phraseology in Tanakh, that will have two sentences with the word lama, lamed mem hey, in them, with the first one having the yativ, saying what was the purpose, and this or why, and the second one is saying what did you expect to get out of it? What was to what end? Yativ comes. It is an exceptional note in that it comes before the very first vowel. So if we had another note, it would come after the vowel. It would come after the patach under the lamed. Yativ is the exception in that it comes before any of the vowels happen. So it's saying this goes all the way back. It's focusing us backwards even before this word. So it's not like the mapach that's going to focus us forward. It's going to do the opposite. It's going to focus us backwards. Look at what's happened to me. Look at what you've done. This is all your fault. So number 8, for what? If you wanted to prevent me from approaching Sarai, for what did you cause a serious annoyance to innocent people, as specified by the shape of the reading mark? So, why did you cause all of the things that we were just talking about? There must have been another way to achieve your goal. Why did you do it this way so that other people would get punished? Lo higareta, not you told, with a munach, so this is separated out from what's come from before, but is going to focus us on what's going to come afterwards. Why have not you told the truth to my people when you entered the land of Egypt? Instead, you made everybody believe that Sarai was free and available for anyone who would match your demands, as illustrated by the reading mark. So, the circumstance that you created made a reality that was different than the truth. And hence, what you said is separated out from, in fact, what came from what you said. Li, for me, with the two-part katon, the two-part note, one higher, one lower, at least you should have made it clear for me when you agreed to the business transaction, receive various amounts and quantities of livestock, as conveyed by the bipartite shape of the related reading mark. So, even if you weren't going to tell everyone else, i.e. the lower dot, you should have told me, the higher dot, before you agreed to the transaction. Took money for goods not properly as labeled. Ki, because with a mercha, this is lightly connected to what's come from before, but mostly moving us forward into what's going to go afterwards. Because I found out the hard way that Sarai is a married woman, she's also a liar and no better than you, as depicted by the directional shape of the reading mark. So, Ki, moving forward, is going to focus us on the next word, Ishtecha, that she's your wife. And so, the blame not only falls on Avram, who we were talking about, but it also falls on Sarai. Number 12, Tipcha, your wife. In this respect, she is a match for you and deserves to be your wife, as signified by the closing shape of the directional reading mark. So just as you have been deceitful, she was deceitful, and that closes off the thought. You were deceitful, you brought me into this, you brought all this upon me, and she didn't correct the situation. The angels had to tell me, not Sarai herself. She is, with the stabilizing sof pasuk. Also, she is misleading and unreliable as you are. What did you come to Egypt to look for? So,
you can understand his point of view.
I can understand his point of view. The question is that last part of the sentence. What did you come to Egypt to look for? Where is that implied in the stability of the sof pasuk? So, sort of my thoughts were that he felt that Egypt was a stable place before, and introducing the lie of Sarai to Egypt is something that was threatening the stability of what Egypt had been before she had been there. So you replace the stability of the country with the reality of what Sarai is. And that's the only thing that I could think of where he came out with that phrase, connected to this note.
It's almost connected to the next word, like the first
Mhm.
word of the next pasuk. Lama, for what end?
But again, this is sort of a hard stop.
Yeah.
So it would be hard given the way that we're trying to relate everything to the notes
Mhm.
to make that connection.
Mhm.
So they're really so. Now, to be fair, Lama with the mapach is focusing what's come from before. So it makes sense in that context to see that there's a connection. It does not make sense in the context of the Sof Pasuk to make that connection. So it's got to be that you've replaced the stability of, and by the word he, feminine it, could also refer to the land of Egypt. Don't forget, this is a word that's sort of standing by itself. There's a tifcha, pause, and then you have this word with its own stability standing by itself. So again, it's one of those hanging pronouns, and it might, in fact, be referring to he, feminine, as the land of Egypt, not as he, Sarai.
So how would you tie that back?
So you tie it back by saying, Avram and Sarai, you are two deceitful people, and the only thing that was good and incorrupt before you got here was the land of Egypt. That was the stable thing before. And again, that's a little bit of a stretch, but again, because he put that phrase in, I felt it was necessary to sort of explore that as a group and say, okay, there's got to be something more he might have been reaching for here, even if he fully didn't express it, because he's got two different thoughts here. That Sarai is misleading and unreliable, and what does it have to do with Egypt? So I'm just wondering if he's playing on the fact that this is sort of an indefinite pronoun and it could refer to either. So as we read through the sentence, we're going to notice again that Pharaoh, in his disgraced sense, loses his dot. The word vayomer, and he says out loud, that's going to stand by itself. Oh my God, you cheated me. I've been framed. That's going to stand by itself. The word lama with the yativ, that's going to stand again out by itself, and it's going to say everything that happened before. It's going to refer backwards, not forward, not to be connected to anything else. And again, the last word, ki ishacha, he, the last word is again going to stand by itself to allow that duplicity of having it both referring to Sarai and perhaps referring to the land of Egypt in a feminine sense. Vayikra Pharaoh le'Avram vayomer. Sorry, I'm going to do that again. Vayikra Pharaoh le'Avram vayomer mazot asita li lama lo higadeta li ki ishtecha he.
Great how really how you just really brings out the story.
Now, why would he be asking this? Pharaoh be saying, "How could you do this to me?" I mean, because we know that they did it, because otherwise they would have taken.
So right now, neither Avram or Sarai have admitted that they're married. Pharaoh only knows this from what the angels told him every time they hit him.
Right.
And he and his household are suffering terribly.
Right.
And he thought he did what was commonly done in a transactional sense. I like your woman, I will pay for her.
Here's some camels.
Yeah.
Right. So, but the fact that he's asking, based on what I hear, the rumors are, how can you do this to me? Well, he knows how they could have done it to him, because otherwise they would have just taken Sarai as his own. Like he's sort of questioning his own rules.
He doesn't know that, right? He knows that he acted, as far as he's concerned, appropriately. So he doesn't necessarily know the the depravity that he has created in his society.
Oh, I
That everybody is so afraid.
He sort of pushed
that,
them to lie. He's not.
well,
realizing.
he doesn't realize that.
Right.
And
right.
they are going to have to come to correct him. What he obviously does realize, however, is he's up against something that is bigger than him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He knows that he is up against a force that is way beyond anything that he is capable of doing. So that he realizes. He knows he knows to be afraid of God, if you will. So this Pharaoh knows to be afraid of God. Because otherwise, why didn't he just have Avram and Sarai executed right there and then? Because anytime he comes near Sarai, he gets punished and afflicted again.
Yeah.
So he knows that he can't just take them and execute them until at the very least he knows the story. Right? So Yonah on the boat, the sailors all ask him, "Who are you? What did you do?" You know, once they draw lots and say he's the one who's responsible, why don't they just kill him and get rid of him there, put him on a lifeboat and set him out to sea? So the answer is they need to know what the appropriate thing to do here is. And Paro, who's presented with a situation where there's something big in the room, and it's something that he's afraid of, needs to know what the situation is before he can decide how to act to handle it. So he is gathering information. He's saying, "I'm hurt. I know that I'm hurt. I know that you're the reason. Give me an explanation so I know the appropriate way to act. Let me find the solution." So we learn a lot of motivations and inside story from the fact that Paro doesn't execute them there and then.
Yeah.
Because that would be the way that you would normally treat somebody who deceived Pharaoh.
He's a traitor.
We have another sentence in us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, are you when you're good?
Yeah.
So you're good?
Great. 1219, page 23. Lama, with the accent on the second syllable. And this one is a mapach mariativ. So this is for what? I.e. to what goal, to what end, for what purpose, to gain what, whatever. The next page. A priority you came to Egypt in order to swindle and lie. For what else did you make false statements, as indicated by the shape of the reading mark? So what is it focusing you forward onto? What is it going to narrow you down? What was your purpose? What were you seeking to gain? Amarta, you said, with a pashta. This is going to focus us on the word, and again, pashta normally comes at the end of a word, and when that is not the accented syllable, you're going to get a second pashta going on the accented syllable. So this, you'll notice that there's a pashta both on the mem and on the tav. So this is called shtei pashtaot, or two pashtas, and it's going to have a double meaning, and it's going to have emphasis on the word. Number two, you said your lies when you entered Egypt, and you kept repeating them to everyone you have met, as shown by the double directional shape of the reading mark. So you said it at the beginning to the first people who you met, and you kept on saying it to everyone else, and that's why we have a doubled note. Achoti. This is a munach, and you'll notice that I'm pronouncing it in a little bit of a strange way. So normally it would be achoti with the accent on the last syllable, but we have a rule when you have a word with a single syllable, or a very short word, or a word in fact that needs the accent to come on the first syllable, as number 4, the word he has only one syllable. So you can't have, in general, two accented syllables coming right after each other. So achoti, he, is a little bit difficult to pronounce, especially when you're singing. So we have a rule called nasog achor, pushed backwards. The note on achoti is pushed backwards by the next word he, and it goes on to the middle syllable in order to allow the word he to have its accent. So we'll see what happens with that. So it's separated out, moving forward, and also Nasog Achor pushed backwards. You have continually presented your wife, calling her my sister. So the impression was, this was a true fact, as stressed by the shape of the reading mark. So you separated out the fact that she was your wife to the reality that you've called her your sister. So you separated out the truth from what in fact you presented her as. That's what the note is telling us. He doesn't really deal with the Nasog Achor, but my conceptualization of why the Nasog Achor is there, why it's on Achoti, not Achoti, again, is because Avram started telling the story even before he met Paro. You said, she's my sister, even before you came to me. You didn't just tell me, you told all the preceding people. So that's why Achoti, that saying that she's my sister, goes back even before me, so the Nasog Achor fits as well. And again, he doesn't deal with it in the text here, but I think it still has relevance, and I think because it is something that involves the reading marks, it should be something that we mention. He, number 4, she is, with the two-part katon. Since reports and rumors reached me that Sarai was single and available, and I would have taken the pleasure to enjoy her attractiveness. No, I'm reading the wrong one.
Right.
Number 4. In reality, however, she is no longer available to any man, while she is your wife. And so she was upon your arrival, as pointed out by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So she's saying she's your wife now, just like she was your wife before. That's why we've got the two-part note. Va'ekach, with a mercha, so this is lightly connected to what's come from before, but mostly moving us forward into what's going to go afterwards. We'll read it again. Number 5, since reports and rumors reached me that Sarai was single and available, and I would have taken the pleasure to enjoy her attractiveness and her femininity without any reservations, as denoted by the directional shape of the reading mark. So when I thought that she was available, then I would have certainly enjoyed what would have come from that. Ota, with the tvir, and again that's the stabilizing note, the mercha with the dot inside being sheltered with her. I expected to enjoy with her deep emotions and thrills, since she looked different from all other women, as suggested by the shape of the reading mark. So she was going to be a source of stability and comfort for him. Li, for me, with a tipcha, so focused backwards and pausing slightly afterwards. I originally intended to take Sarai permanently for me, not as a concubine, but as a permanent part of my life and household, as referred backwards by the directional shape of the reading mark. So this is a superfluous word, right? It could say va'akach ota leisha, and it would have taken her for a wife. So why do we have this superfluous word li, for me? So this is to say that he would have accepted Sarai as the queen, not just as a consort, as a concubine. So when he's saying this extra word li, the implication is that I would have taken her as the highest that she could have become with me. Leisha, number 8, with a stabilizing etnachta. I wanted her for a wife, to occupy with me the throne of Egypt, as expressed by the stabilizing shape of the reading marks. I would have taken her, she would have been part of my stability, and she would have been elevated in that sense, which are all the features of the etnachta. Ve'ata, with a zakef gadol. So again, this is that 3-part note, 2 dots next to a solid line. So more than one thought, possibly 2 or more, and a separation from what's going to come afterwards. And now, number 9. After the recent experience, I discovered that neither one of you is reliable or trustworthy. And now I refuse to listen to your new fabrication or explanations, as specified by the shape of the reading mark. So here we've got, again, this zakef gadol is saying, exclamation, everybody stop, I don't care. Right? So in the last sentence it was, there's nothing more important than the fact that I was framed. And here he's saying, I'm asking you for an explanation, but I really don't care what you've got to say. And now it's all about me now. That's it. So that's the separation that word attains for itself, and the multiple implications. This is, I was asking you, but I really don't care because I'm more important than you. Lower dot, higher dot. And I don't even want to hear what you got to say. Pause. Speak to the hand. I'm saying, I asked you? No, I don't want to hear. Hine, readily, with the mercha. So this is lightly connected to what's come from before, but mostly moving forwards. Following the great fraud. Great betrayal, right? Gross betrug. Readily, without delay or postponement, prepare to leave Egypt and never come back, as conveyed by the directional shape of the reading mark. So I'm sending you forward from here, lightly connected to, I don't want to deal with you anymore. Stop. Enough. Don't even tell me. Just go. Ishtecha, your wife, with the tipcha, closing the phrase and having a slight pause afterwards. Also your wife shall join you in your departure without stalling, as signified by the closing shape of the directional reading mark. The two of you are connected together. You leave, she leaves. I don't want to deal with either of you. Kach, take. This is a mercha. I don't see it in my version, any note under that, but it should be a mercha there. Just confirming. Yes, mercha. So again, lightly connected, but mostly moving us forward. In contrast to your instability, Paro's words do not change. Take with you all the gifts, even if you obtain them by deception, as depicted by the directional shape of the reading mark. You're going to take them, go, just take it and go. Don't want to hear from you. Valech, and go. Gather with the stabilizing sof pasuk.
Sorry, go back to 12. What is the reading mark? Am I not?
It's a mercha. It's the forward scooping. It should be under the first letter.
Oh, so
it's not. It's missing there.
Okay.
So we can certainly write it in. Valech, and go with a stabilizing sof pasuk. Gather all your belongings, including your wife, and go out of the country after the nightmare of the past. So this is going to be the way that stability is going to be regained in Egypt by you and your wife leaving, and I don't want anything that you've touched. Anything that I gave you is yours. Go. I don't want anything to do with anything that's touched you. So as we read through the sentence, we're going to notice the difference between, in the last sentence, lama with the yativ and lama with the mapach, which scoops and moves forward and is connected, versus the lama, which was completely unconnected. We're going to notice the nasoga chor of achotihi. We're going to notice that Pharaoh was seeking stability in Sarai, so va'kachota is going to be a phrase that stands by itself. Li, she was going to be somebody important, and again a pause after that. Li'isha, as the queen. Viata, exclamation, don't care, speak to the hand. This is what I say goes. Hine ishtacha, you and your wife are a pair. I don't want to deal with you. Kach valech, again, stands by itself. Lama amarta achotihi va'ekachota li liisha ve'ata hine ishtacha kach valech. I think maybe we'll end there, but
Well done.
These are two nurses.
Well done. Well,
That is the essence of Pharaoh.
Mhm.
All right, I am the Nile, and I created myself. So
and I am the sun god.
Yeah. Go ahead, that was great.